how did you find Quid? What are your favorite channels? Discuss Quid app, marketplace messaging, ranking, chases, collecting versus investing. And then, basically in 1 year, like where do you see digital collectibles and Web3 space going in 1, 5, and 10 years? So I think those are good things to start off with for sure.
Yeah, just to get everyone's point of view and see what they're thinking and what the hope Quid becomes.
Cool.
I was on a space earlier. I don't know if you were on it. It was pretty much discussing like the Superman drop that just happened.
Oh, with the back cow community?
Yeah, and they're just kind of like, which kind of like makes me think about like, it's hard to like have two communities, even though they're not after, but they both like the same thing, but because there's like a certain character or brand attached to it, they just kind of like it takes a while for them to like come together and like be like, oh wait, we actually like the same stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, I think anytime you're doing new stuff in a space, it's brand new and it's exciting. It's kind of because it is so new, people are, may get, turned on or turned off by it. It was kind of like what we saw with using the like, original scanned copies, and I thought it looked pretty cool. Just because it's like going into a like a comic trove from your attic, kind of.
Hmm.
So you look at that original feel to it, and I think it just felt different from a lot of people. Like for us, like we have the comics on BB,
Yeah.
where they're kind of digitally, like perfect. So, but I think it's all good, man. I think anything that's a digital collectible in the space is just growing awareness. Just because it is all so new to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I get where people are coming from. Like they're used to one thing, so when they see something else, they find like to them it's like a flaw, you know. But if
Mhm.
you had to reverse it, and it's like, oh, we got this, but they have that, then the other thing is flawed, even though that's the thing they have now. So I think it'll take time for people to see like, which I think DC, having their own marketplace and it's letting people know like, hey, there's more to collecting than just one app. There's a bunch of apps, and it's not just all one app and that's it. I don't care about anything else. So
Yeah, because most people they don't even know that like big players are in the space like we do.
yeah,
Especially the people who are kind of just looking at all the different options out there. They see a big name like DC or Marvel and they're like, oh cool, well, and then they're surprised on how long this has been around for,
hmm,
and then that kind of gets them that first exposure. Because maybe some people might like Batman more than Superman. Some people might like X-Men
yeah,
more than Deadpool. But I mean I've always been a big comic book fan. So I mean I love all of it. I think it's all great that it's coming into its own space in its own time.
yeah. I feel like honestly, maybe like 95% of the people right now in the digital collectible space, they're I wouldn't say Marvel fans, but they're superhero fans. Whether that's Spider Man, Batman, or Superman. That's what I feel got a lot of people in because they saw like, oh, I want to own this. Oh, by the way, it's a NFT or it's a digital collectible, and they're like, okay, so what does that mean? And they're getting educated on what's this, what's that, and I just think the love of the brand and the love people have for all those characters, it's what's gonna push eventually everybody to come in and want to own something digital.
Exactly. But you got places like like I was on OpenSea before even like knowing about like say Vivi and Quid and Neon Mob and Tops. So like I kind of started off there just because the crypto got me into looking into the tokens, and as you kind of went into the tokens and moved away from like say Ethereum to like Polygon and all these other chains that are there. And I went to the crypto.com, their space too, the Kronos network. But like when I found Vivi, I was like, oh, this is cool. These are all like comic books. These are big IP names. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever, like the decentralization on OpenSea is awesome, because like you're having all these brand new ideas and concepts and interoperability and utility or the possibility of future utility. But like the fact that I could get a comic book and open it up and look at it, was really cool. The same thing with these statues. And so I said, okay, I came upon Vivi, which is really awesome. And from coming from elsewhere, there's got to be other platforms, that if I just happen to stumble upon this, there's got to be other ones. So I kind of searched, and it took some effort, and I eventually got to find Quid, and I was like, how can I've never heard of this before? Like coming from the spaces I came, and it was really big, like years ago, and it was much more advertised years ago. And I think what happened was I kind of fell into like a weird spot where a lot of people on the Twitter Spaces weren't promoting it as heavily, maybe as they used to. So when I kind of came into that and saw how many brands they had, I was just really surprised. Like, just big IP names like the Cartoon Network and Marvel and Rick and Morty, and the list goes on, just because they have like 326 name brands. And it was just cool. I mean, at first you kind of get overwhelmed, but I just kind of started with just a little bit like the Rick and Morty stuff, and I started with the pops and start collecting them and say these are cool. I can look at them in 3D. I can spin them. I can carry them around my phone just like I do with my other platforms. And it was just really awesome, man. It was a really good experience to kind of come in and just be a part of this amazing growing space. And then the community was just awesome. You know, um, Going on Discord and going on to Twitter, and here we are, man.
Yeah, it's I heard of Quid like a lot of people did when they joined it early on because of Mr. Beast, but I remember just downloading the app and being like, oh, it's a text messaging app with stickers and you open packs, and I mean, okay, cool. They have like a lot of little characters and stuff. But I deleted the app. I was like, I don't really care about it. Eventually I found Vivi, and I got into Vivi when they dropped Spider-Man because I was like, okay, this looks pretty cool. I did a little research. I knew they had a token attached to it. I knew they had other brands. Like you would go into play in the marketplace and be like, okay, they got Batman. They got what else did they have when they dropped Spider Man? They had Adventure Time. They had a bunch of other little Back to the Future. They had a bunch of brands. So I'm like, okay, so they have brands. That just means they're gonna get more brands. So I collected there for. Well, I still collect there, but when I joined, I got Spider Man statue. I got a common, an uncommon one. And then when they dropped the comics books, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm into. So I collected a bunch of their comic books. I really don't read them that much on the app, but I do like collecting them. I like saying I own this, I own that. It feels good to be like, oh, I own one of 60,000 Marvel Comics number ones. Whether it's common, uncommon, or rare. Just owning one and saying you can own one, I feel like that's what people like about it. Like you can just say, oh, I own this. I have a Fantastic Four number one, or I own A15, or anything like that. And I found out I quit again when they had their little Twitter beef/war or something, when they were like discussing like, oh, what's a real NFT? And Quid was like saying, oh, if you guys want to know what a real NFTs, come check this out. And of course, from the Vivi side of you, I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, I wasn't really into the whole blockchain NFT this, NFT that. So I was just like, well, let me check out Quid, because why are they mentioning it? Why are they tweeting against with each other? And I got into Quid kind of like how you say, like you just kind of see it and you're like, okay, I kind of get it. Okay, I see what they have, and you're just like, oh, all right, it's cool. They have a lot of stuff, but it's not like really quality, 3D figures and statues, and you can put it in a showroom and all that. So I didn't pay it that much attention. But then again, I went back to it because they talked about it for like a few days. Everybody was making a video on it, like Tap Trades, Cavell, everybody made a video on it. So I'm like, okay, I keep hearing about Quid, so let me go check again, see what they have. And I found Marvel, and I'm just like, okay, they have Marvel. I started looking through all their sets, and I'm like, dang, they have like 2,000 sets of Marvel stuff. They have comics, they have stickers, they have cards, they have posters, they have pops, they have a lot of stuff. So I'm just like, and everything there was like, some items were like a few dollars. I'm not gonna say everything is like 15, 10 cents, but like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is way more affordable than it is on Vivi, and I love Marvel, so I'm gonna start collecting here too.
Exactly.
And then they did stop the Marvel aftermarket after that, and I didn't collect Marvel for a while. But then I told myself like I gotta get more Marvel because I love Marvel, you know. So I'm just gonna keep collecting Marvel, and Quid has a ranking, and I remember I would scroll all the way through the rankings and be like, man, I wonder if one day I'm gonna be like in the top 10, you know. And right now I'm ranked 12, so I'm closer than ever, you know. And it's just thinking back to when I found it to right now, it's just like these last 8 9 months, it's been exciting because you just want to complete every set, you want to rank up higher, you know. It's fun to collect on Quid.
Yeah, because with the rankings and stuff like that, you kind of because you kind of get graded on the how low of a print you have on there. So the closer to the top, 100 or what everyone's after is really the number one. That kind of pushes you higher in the rankings and gets you really more exposure um, on that leaderboard. So that's kind of something that's really exciting, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some chases when a brand that comes out and I don't even care about the brand or nothing, but just the fact that you're competing against everyone, and Quid already has their gamification to it and this competitiveness to it. You just want to be like, okay, what rank am I? And if you finish in the top 10, top 20, top 30, whatever it is, you're gonna get an award. So it almost feels like a prize at the end of all that. You're just like, I want this, I want this. Okay, where am I? Okay, I'm ranked 11th. That means my number 5 in my set should be like a 4 or 3. I have to sell this number 58 and, try to flip into a top 20 mint because that should get me in the top 10 to make sure, I end up getting the award. And that's fun, to be honest. Like I said, there's brands that have came out. I'm just like, I want the award. The award looks cool. I'm gonna go for it, and it's a fun twist to collecting, because when collecting in the real world, you collect whatever you collect, whether it's cards, comics, figures, whatever it is. You buy it, you own it, that's yours. The store doesn't send you, oh, you collected all 100 of these cards from this set. Here's an award because I mean they don't know if you actually completed it, but digitally, Quid can be like, oh well, this person completed the set. They finished in the top 10 ranking, and here's your award.
Yeah, and it almost makes you feel like you're part of an exclusive club because once you do get into that award, and again, like you were mentioning, that you have to almost like kind of plan out and see where you rank. So when you're kind of going for those drops, and sometimes they'll have a few different sets in that drop, and you start getting these low pulls. Like basically you start getting like the one between 20 or 30, and you're much closer. And then if you kind of don't get those lows, like say you get a 300 out of 500, then you have to go into the aftermarket and look for those lows and kind of compete that way too. And but when you get that award, it just feels awesome. Like I had gone after the pumpkin spice award, um, just to get that AR 3D mintable skeleton that was on there. And when I got a part of that, it was just really cool. And you don't know if once you get that award, if it's going to be, like if it's top 10, you don't know if it's going to be 1 or through 10. So that's also another part of the game too. But I was just happy. I got like a 9. I was just happy to get it and be a part of that. And for me, that's something I'm going to keep. I don't intend to ever sell that, just because that was cool to get that. It was cool to show my kids and put it out there at the Old Town center that we have out here, which is really old part of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and
Hmm.
just kind of just share my excitement, enthusiasm. I think like that kind of goes innately back to like when I'm young, when I was younger, I would like collect cards, baseball, football, and just want to like show your friends, and they collected too, and then you swap cards and stuff. So it was just a really cool thing to kind of be a part of, and to kind of share your enthusiasm with other people who are like minded.
Yeah, and you start when you're chasing and you see someone has it for, they'll have it for like a crazy price, maybe like $100.
Yeah.
But when you check the sales history and let's say they're selling a number 8 for 100, and then you see, oh well, a number 7 just sold for 50. Let me message them real quick. Maybe we can, bring that price down and everything. So it's like that's also part of it, just talking to other members and messaging them and, hey man, bring your price down. How much can you go lower? And what can you do? And it's just there's so many layers to just the chase. You know, there's the you open the pack. I hope I get low numbers because I don't want to go, buying all these lows off the on the marketplace. So you get a few lows, and then you're like, okay, where am I in the ranking now? Okay, you're 13th, kind of finish top 10. Okay, what's my strategy? What's my plan? You gotta almost have to think about it. And along the way, the more chases you do, the better you get at it. Okay, I'll wait because the first few chases I did, all right, I need less than number 10. Okay, there's a number 9 for $30. I buy it. And then maybe 5, 10 minutes later, a number 5 is being sold for $30. And then I go, okay, well, now I'm learning. I could have waited a few minutes and I would have, got a better deal for it. But it's just, and like you say, you win an award and you don't want to sell it. You're like, I worked hard for this. And the chase lasts usually a day or two, right? So it's like you go back, you check where am I ranked. Okay, I'm still number 9. I'm good, top 10. Then we check again. Okay, now I'm number 10. I got to start, coming in with a strategy to make sure I stay in top 10. So those chases and awards and all that, man, it's just fun. It's just not collecting. Okay, that's it. And I'm gonna close the app. You have to, pay attention and make sure you're getting the best mints you can get for the best price.
Yeah, that's what I like about the marketplace too. So like I kind of sell digital, not digital, physical collectibles of all different types on eBay. So when I kind of got into Quid Marketplace and I could see the sales history and seeing who sold what and when, that kind of I felt like I was back in my original environment, and that kind of helps with those chases we were just talking about, or even just trying to find a value. So that way, like if I see maybe like 10 things on the market and they're going for a certain amount, if I see that, maybe not that long ago they were going for a little bit lower, I might like hold off on it, just because I'm trying to find a little bit more of a better price value. Unless, of course, like, like someone puts up like a number 4 out there. Like this morning, I picked up a Disney Golden Sooms. I'm trying to think if it was I don't think it was Aladdin, but it was one of the Disney characters, but it's like gold and it was pretty cool, and no, usually the number 4s they go for like 30 to 80 bucks. And I saw it for $5 and I was like, okay, cool. I want to jump on that. And even before I do that, I check the sales history, I check the, where the person got it from and all that. So it's cool. It gives you a lot more tools just to kind of, see where you're at, because especially with the Quid being such a giant platform and there's so many choices, you kind of want to make sure that your money stretches the best possible for you get the best bang for your buck.
Yeah,
Needless to say.
yeah. Just to me, just like looking through the app at first, I remember thinking like, man, there's so much stuff here. Like at first, it seemed complicated, because it's brand new to you. You kind of have to like, what does this do when I click this? When I do that, you get used to the app, and you're just like, there's so much, there's so many tools, to see. Hey, I want to buy this item. This guy has it for a floor price of $1. Let me click the sales history. The last one sold for 15 cents. Okay, well, to me, that means if I wait a bit, I'll probably get one for 15 cents when somebody posts it because as a seller, you're going to look at the sales history and be like, what did this sell for last?
Hmm.
Let's say it sold for $4. You want a number 2 mint. There's a number 1 mint. You can negotiate. Be like, hey, well, a number 2 sold for 4. I can offer you $8. You know what I mean? So just having tools like that makes it easier for a buyer and a seller to agree to a price. I like the fact that you can message between people, to be like, hey, let's negotiate. Even though there's, it's not a perfect app. There's times where you
Yeah.
message somebody and they won't get a notification on their phone. They have to log into the app, go to messages, and see what messages I have there. They're saying they're gonna have a message center coming out soon, which I'm really excited for because a lot of the Marvel items you have to message people directly since you can't list them at the moment. And it's just kind of going in and messaging people, being patient. When I really started collecting Marvel, I'm just like, okay, what do I have to do to get Marvel items? And communication is important. So I like the fact that you communicate on the app. There's information to communicate. This is the sales history of it. I want to complete the set. Let me click on the set. It shows you, oh, okay, I'm missing these 2 items. I like the fact that your sets are also ranked. So I collect the Marvel comics, and knowing there's a number one out there and it'll help me improve my ranking from seven to first makes me want to get that number one, you know? And I can
Yeah,
check who has it. I'm gonna go message them, see if they respond. They do respond. Let's negotiate a deal. They want $20 for it. Okay, I pay the $20 for it. I have that number one comic, and now I'm ranked number one in that set. So I feel like that's also part of the fun in it, where you're just seeing what you could do. You know, I can do this, I can do that, I can wait, be patient, I can try to get it now, or you know, just pretty much you have a lot of freedom on the app.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And so what would you say is like you say Marvel's like your favorite channel? Um, or would you say Marvel's your favorite channel on the app?
Yeah, I love Marvel. That's what got me into collecting digital collectibles because of Vivi. Like I said, I saw the Spider Man coming out. I'm like, okay, I love Spider Man. My son loves Spider Man. So who doesn't love Spider Man? You know, he's like one of everyone's favorite characters. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And I saw Quid had AF-15, and that's what got me like, okay, wait a minute. They have AF-15. What is it? All right. People will say, oh, it's just a cover, but I'm like, well, it's a slabbed comic. It's 3D. You can rotate it and see that it's a slab. Of course, Quid doesn't have a comic reader, so when people ask me, hey, well, can you read them? It's like, well, no, you can't read them because, like, it's a slab, like in the real world, people who buy slabs, they don't crack them open and say, oh, I finally got my, 9.0 Amazing Spider-Man number one. Let me read it real quick. It's supposed to be something you protect and, it's valuable. And when I saw that, the thing that got me really interested in them was their edition sizes. When I seen
Mm,
AF-15 Gem Mint condition, there's only 100 of them. I was like, okay, comics on Vivi have like 60,000 prints. You know what I mean? Even a super
mhm.
rare might have a few like 300, 400, 500. But that really got me like more interested in it because I'm just like, I had to like all these little like check marks. Is it Marvel? Yes. Is it a digital collectible? Yes. Can I buy it? Yes. Will they beat mine? Yes. Are they individually serialized to be like, I own the number 5 out of 100, and I'm the only one that can own one. No one can come and own one. Yeah. So that got me really into it, and I just love Marvel. So I started collecting a bunch of sets. I would buy out whole collections. Even though I know I can't sell them or anything, but just the love of Marvel was enough for me to be like, I want to own these items. You know, it's a collection. I'm trying to have the best collection, and I just really love Marvel. It's Marvel. Who doesn't love Marvel?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We all, I think pretty much almost everyone, if they haven't grown up reading it, or we've all kind of seen the movies, we see the shows and everything like that. So definitely a lot of exposure out there. But you were mentioning that you were kind of going after the caches and stuff, and I've seen your collection. You have one heck of a collection of the caches there. That's very impressive to say the least. But like, we can go out there onto like say eBay, and we can buy and sell. Because through the app we're allowed to buy and sell on eBay, even though it's not tied to the app.
Hmm.
But it's one way to at least make an agreement with people out there, and then that way we can go and trade those items with people who have quit accounts.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was taking a look at it. I probably bought like 2% of my Marvel collection when the app let you um buy Marvel directly from the app, and now that it's off the app, it's not that hard. You message somebody, hey, how much you want for this much. You have PayPal it protects you. Like, you do a goods and service transaction. I haven't had one issue with PayPal. You send them the money, they say got it, they send you the items, and that's it. The community is very honorable. They don't try to scam you or anything too crazy. It's just the negotiating. Okay, that's a grand prize. Here, I send you the money. I've had many people send me hundreds of dollars worth of items first, and then, okay, I got the items. Here you go. Here's the money.
Cool.
It's a very good community. I don't think I've ever seen like you know there's other communities out there too. I've been part of those, but with Quid, it's very like, let me try to help you out. What is it that you need? Okay, I've had people message me, hey, if you need help, let me know. I'll try to get the items you're looking for, and I've had help collecting my Marvel collection. So I'm really grateful for all the people who have helped me.
Yeah, and like when I went to the Discord server when I first joined February of this year, so I'm pretty kind of still new, but not like super new.
Yeah.
And during that time, I've kind of amassed a pretty decent sized collection. You know, I'd say both of us really have kind of amassed a pretty good collection so far.
Yeah.
When I went on Discord, like it was really cool community. They kind of took me in, kind of showed me the ropes, especially people. And I was kind of shocked too because this app's been around since 2016, and it's like, why is not more people know about this app? Why aren't people really advertising it? And you know, to me, like being on all the other platforms on,
Mhm.
everyone's got their own like niche, you know, everyone's got their own like different collectibles, different series, different styles, and they're all awesome, dude. Like you see me on Twitter, like I always tell everyone we're all fam because you know there's not enough platforms to kind of tell everyone in the whole world, hey, we are here, man. You got to check out these digital collectibles. We got, you know, readable comics and you know, very high detailed figures on one platform. We have artists that are unknown that you can get free, you know, trading cards and stuff on another. And then we got like tops, you know, doing Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars. And then you got Panini, and then you have, you know, there's just so many different platforms, you know. So like to me, like I always feel that we're all working together in tandem, in concert, and that no one should ever kind of put one platform down versus another.
Yeah.
And like I know like you were talking about before with the Twitter wars and stuff, and that was before like I really came on board. But when I saw it kind of recently, I could definitely feel like the frustration from different parties and different platforms. So I kind of say, you know what, let me like I collect on different platforms. Let me go out there and just say, hey, you know, we're all growing this amazing space together. We're all have the same common goal, and we all love digital collectibles. So it's like, you know, finding the common ground and working together from there.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like I said earlier. It's just they found a certain platform. They invest their money in that platform. So when someone kind of tells them, "Hey, there's this one too," they're kind of just like, "Well, I'm already in this one. Why would I need to be on another one?" You know. But as soon as you find out, like, "Hey, there is more. They offer different things." You know, you don't go just to one store to buy a certain thing and then not check out a lot of stuff. You know, in the real world, people collect comics, they collect cards, they collect figures, they collect everything. You know, so it's not like if you're very like, "Oh, I just collect cards and that's it," then yeah, that's cool too. You know, but a lot of people collect a lot of different things, and I feel like loyalty is like a big part of that. They want to be loyal to the brand that introduced them to digital collecting.
Yeah,
But you know, like the DC marketplace is showing, like other platforms get items that everybody wants. I mean, there was I think 100,000 people in the Superman queue, so that just showed everybody like, you know what? There's other platforms that you can go and collect and do, you know, what you want to do and collect.
I think the dogs in the background agree, man. They're
Yeah.
barking, saying, "Yep, we hear you, man." But and then the thing is, like, I think just like when you kind of look at Hero and you look at Recur, you look at all these stuff, like they're all good. Like to me, like anytime I see something new coming out somewhere else, now of course, you know, I only have like a certain limited budget, so I have to kind of pick and choose. And you know, some platforms have gone on my reach. That's cool too. You know, like I almost hope that I can look for value in throughout the collectibles I have, and over time, maybe I can uptrade and sell those and kind of get that, you know, Todd Batman, or get that partner statue, just because, you know, like I have a lot of respect for OGs in any platform, because to be early, you know, everyone wants to be early, but no one wants to go through the growing pains and the hassle of it. So like when I feel like people's frustration, I totally get it, because you know, when you're there from the get-go, it's hard for the people to know and understand that experience. So like when I've talked to OGs and stuff, and I hear them out, and they've been there for years, and explain the different changes in the application, the platform, and dealing with, you know, flippers or bots or different things. You know, I have a lot of respect for them because they held it out. And you know, like when I see that and I see the passion, I can understand the loyalty. And it's cool when they help each other up and hold each other up. But I think too that, you know, like, you know, we're starting this space and everything like that, that you know, almost kind of like offering an olive branch to other platforms, and hey, you know what, come on and let's talk about, like, you know, what you love about what you collect, and it's just like more of like an open discussion in a positive manner. So that way, no one's trying to pull anyone else down, but we're all growing this amazing space because we all love digital collectibles, man. We're all hoping that there's gamification, that there's more utility, and that we'll be able to basically own all these things and store them and show our kids and their grandkids, kind of like how physical mediums were seen back in the day, and they were held, and now they're much more valuable. You know.
Yeah, I feel like with utility, that's what's going to change everything. And some items are getting utility already, or if you own a certain set, you get an airdrop. And I
Mhm.
feel like there could be so many layers to utility. Like, okay, this item you own, because Quid has announced mint to play, which means you have this sticker, this card, whatever you own on Quid, you could bring it into this metaverse, and it becomes an avatar. Whether it's Jon Snow from Game of Thrones or Rick from Rick and Morty. Whatever game it's gonna be. And I also see it where like, hey, because Quid's already doing this. If you finish in the top 10, here's a poster. You finish in the top 25, here's another poster. So
Yeah,
just
where they
adding
send like
value.
physical when they send
Yeah,
physical like signed things from the artist
yeah,
to the person's home. Yeah, it's been really cool seeing that.
yeah.
And
So I think it's just gonna. These are the baby steps at first. This is just utility to see like, oh, what do people like, what they don't like. In the future, I could easily see it being like, hey, you own this set, you're in the top 10. Here you go. Here's a ticket to this movie, and people are just gonna, even it's small stuff at first. The more valuable that collectible gets, let's say a Walt statue or, the first Spider-Man secret rare one, the more valuable they get, the more value is going to come along with them. You're not going to want to sell it. That's what's going to bring the price up, and the fact that you're going to be able to use all these items, or I mean, at first we'll see which ones they choose to use, but eventually I feel like you're going to be able to use Marvel, Disney, all these big brands and whatever metaverse it is, and that's just going to create value. Whether it's a simple thing like, oh well, this sticker gives you a skin in this game, or this poster, lets you play in this level or of a game or something. I think it's just gonna grow bigger and bigger because these are like the incarnations of these collectibles, right? In 10, 20 years, we might not call them collectibles. We might call them something else. We might call them passes or, whatever the term's going to be. But I feel like they're just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger the valuable they get.
exactly. That's kind of like why I kind of will say and stick my neck out a little bit and say, well, Web3 and 4, because yeah, 20 years from now, we don't know how this is going to look. Even like being in Web 1 and 2. The other night we were talking about like when in the mid '90s when I was using a baud modem and connected to the internet. You first get that first exposure, and then we get mobile phones, and it's all grainy and small, and you barely can text and look at images when that was available. Now we have these high end mobile phones, these high end computers and consoles that do so much, and it's like okay, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, how are things going to look? And it's almost like we can imagine, but I almost believe that imagination is like almost falling short because just from what I've seen so far, the potential is just so massive. And I think that's cool when I kind of get into these Twitter spaces and kind of just be a listener and kind of just sit in the back row and hear people's excitement about what they collect and what they love. It's like, all of us are just trying to figure this out and just be passionate about what we collect and what we really enjoy and love. Kind of going back to what you were saying about the stickers and stuff and everything. So there was a thing called Interstellar Reality, and it's on YouTube on Quid's Quid's web channel, and it basically as a concept video showed that you could have these stickers, and that it could connect to the sandbox. And there was a few other games like Life Beyond and the Collector King or something like that, and it basically showed your avatar in the sandbox turned into that character. So it kind of really opened up a big like, wow, that's a really big concept that would have utility where you buy this digital collectible and you can use it as an avatar in the sandbox, and most people will look at the sandbox and say, well, that kind of looks like Minecraft, looks like Roblox. It's really, not very, it doesn't look great, but I think it's just a stepping stone. I think like we have to start somewhere, and then from there move on out. And I think that um, I think a lot of people have very high expectations, which is cool, but I think that we just need to be a little bit more patient because a lot of people have invested a lot of money and time and effort into the platforms they're on, which is awesome. Lots of props to them. It does take a lot of time, effort, and money, but
Yeah,
like I think when things aren't hit when they're supposed to, or when kind of like a leader in that platform kind of comes out and says, "Hey, this is going to come out this date," it's like everyone's watching that date like a hawk. And if it doesn't hit, then it's like, well, how what are you doing? And the thing is, I think that having worked for a lot of different companies over the years, a lot of things go behind the scenes that maybe it didn't come out because some code didn't work, or maybe some integration doesn't work, or maybe there's a safety issue, or it could be a slew of things. And I think us as collectors and enthusiasts, that just being a little bit more patient is kind of the key to kind of just moving through this, and almost having high expectations but lowering them so that way if we don't get what we wanted, we don't get as much disappointed. At least that's what I do for myself. So like when I see other people's frustrations, I totally respect that. But in the same interim, it's like, um, this works for me because if I can just lower my expectations a little bit, if it doesn't hit, then I can kind of get through to the next, date that they kind of said, hey, we push this date out to coincide with some issue we're dealing with.
yeah, and I think patience is the most important thing with anything. You just have to. You decided with your money, with your passion, that you're going to be part of this project, or you're going to invest in this thing, whether it's not just digital collectibles, whether it's stocks, crypto, or whatever. You're kind of just you're kind of hoping, you have a vision, you convince yourself, or you speculate, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that hey, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I'm gonna want to look back and be like, well, I'm happy I bought this, I'm happy I have that, because at a certain point, certain things are going to be out of reach, or they're just going to be like, man, I should have got this instead of this, or whatever, right? So you try to be like, you choose what you're going to get, and people are going to start to realize, like, hey, I got this because I thought this was going to happen, but it's completely different, but it's not in a bad way, but even in a good way, because we don't know what's waiting. We don't know what's the plan. Disney, Marvel, Animoca brands, VV, all these companies, they have a 10, 20, 50, 100 year vision. We're just kind of like, hey, I wonder where they're going to drop in a week or two, or I wonder when we're going to get this. They
Mhm.
have that plan, they have that ready, they're going to execute the plan and all this stuff. So I feel like people do get a little impatient because they're just kind of like, well, this was moving fast at this point and now it's slowed down. Now what's going to happen? We're just kind of waiting. And some people start selling things, or they just don't invest as much. But I feel like, and this is a perfect time to be like, well, no one's buying anything, and I have a vision. I was convinced a year ago that this was going to be big eventually, but now that it's slowed down, is that gonna, you know, stop me from investing even more into it? So I feel like people just need to realize, like, hey, man, this is actually the perfect time to buy up more stuff. Remember what you thought about all this stuff a year, 5, 10 years ago, whenever you start collecting digitally, and be like, hey, I still believe that because I'm still in this project. I'm still here. And with technology, I mean, anything is possible.
Exactly, and I think that with us being, and the term is a crypto winter or winter, is that it's a very big opportunity because like we saw during the big pumps that that's this stuff really went to these all time highs, and I ended up like getting comics that were in their all time highs, and they really kind of bottomed out. But like instead of like in my mindset, I said, okay, cool. I'm not looking at it like I lost anything. I'm looking at this as an opportunity because now I can get maybe a better edition, or I can get a better print or mint number, or maybe I can get like say on VB, I can get me now I can get these rares that were like $50, and now I can get them for like $20, and I see it as an opportunity. And to me, like even if it goes down to zero, I'm personally I'm okay with that. I don't think they will, but like I'm okay with that because like my fundamental is that I'm collecting these because these are awesome digital collectibles. And I want to just keep on, like I always say in my tweets, keep stacking those shiny digital collectibles because they're shiny and they're valuable to you. And if other people don't think they're valuable, shiny, that's cool too. Like collect them because you originally had a vision as to what you enjoyed about it. There was a memory. There was enjoying reading it. Maybe just the cover art. Or remembering that you used to have that when you were younger, a movie you watched, or there's so many different reasons. So, like that's why I like collecting on different platforms because like as I kind of look through the markets and I kind of wake up early, I get my coffee, I go to the market and I say, okay, I must spend this much today. And I'll pick different things. And you know what? I think I've been fortunate where I've I've really got like I think some value on all these different platforms. And I also strangely enough, I'll ask the people selling. I was like, hey, why are you selling your collection and stuff like that? And they say, hey, I just want to get out of it, or I lost too much. And I said, why don't you just hold on to it? And that's something I do in real life too. When I buy collections, either for my personal collection or for resale on eBay, I'll say, hey, you know what? This actually is worth this much. Why don't you hold on to it, do some research, why don't you hold it for your kids? Because I personally never want to feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody. I'd rather be up in front and on with them and tell them what I do. And 95% of the time, they don't want to do the research. They just maybe want to exit, maybe take profit, whatever, and that's cool. And I respect that. I feel like I've done my due diligence. I kind of tried educating them or like giving my viewpoint, and then I get something added to my collection. And it's cool. And I think like I make sure it goes to a good home, you know. So like on some of these platforms, I've picked up duplicates and I'll stack stuff. And to me, I think it'd be cool in the future if it's possible to maybe even give those out to new people. Maybe when those floors are so, if they do get out of reach, because I've been there, you've been there. I think it'd be cool to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I might be able to sell this for a profit, but I'd rather see it go to a collector or someone who loves it or enjoys it, and it's gonna go to a good home.
Yeah, I've on Could I've seen it. I've experienced that. There was a his the name is Salvatore Mundi. It's a painting by Da Vinci. I
Mm.
remember buying a bunch of stuff from this guy's page. I went to his page, all his items that are listed for sale are there, and I'm just picking up a bunch of gallery items that Quid has, and he messages me. He's like, "Hey, what's the item you want from the app?" And I didn't understand. I'm like, "What do you mean? What item do I want from the app?" Yeah,
Mhm.
any item you want. Which one do you want? And then I still kind of went like, "That you have." He buys this item that the sales history was saying like 20-30 dollars, and he lists it for a quarter for me to buy it. And I was just
Wow,
like, wait,
cool.
what? And I buy it for a quarter. I'm like, what? He's like, man, when I joined this app, a lot of people helped me, so I'm just returning it. What other item do you want? And I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, why is this guy, and I'm looking at it, he's giving it away, he's selling it for a quarter, but that's practically free. He ends up selling me, but in reality, giving me four items that the value together was like $100. And I'm just like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it happened. I told him, thank you. He's like, yeah, man, just spread the love. So, and that's what I love about the Quid community. There's a dedicated channel on the Discord. Like, hey, I need this Marvel. Yeah, here you go. You can have it. I have a bunch of extra copies. Hey, whoever wants to participate in this giveaway, just click this little button here, and they're giving items away. And Quid used to do the giveaways on Twitter. I know they stopped for a while, but the community just wants to spread what they have. Some people have millions of items, and they're like, to them, that's what makes the app fun now. It's like, here you go. I'm just gonna give it to new people coming in, and that's gonna help them, love the app even more. So yeah, I mean, it's fun to just give away stuff because they're gonna feel the joy that you felt when you receive something.
Yeah, it's just the gift of giving, So that way you can spread that enthusiasm to the next person, or even to like maybe younger people who come onto the app that maybe that's the first app they've gone on, and you just want to make a good first impression. And
Yeah,
I've seen that in other platforms too. It's not just Quid, but it's anytime I see that anywhere I go, it's just awesome. Because like just communities helping out community and just spreading more awareness, more love, and everything. And that's why I always kind of said, hey, we're all fam, because like it starts with the communities in those platforms, and then with the advent technology, the Web3 growing and going to more whatever it's going to be, it's going to be like, and we kind of I've talked about it, like Ready Player One. It's going to get to a point where like we're all going to be like a lot more even interconnected than we are now. And I think just being showing kindness and reaching out to your fellow person and just saying, hey, you know what? We have common ground. We might not be in the same place, we might not be the same age group or whatever, but that doesn't matter. Here's a digital collectible. You like Rick and Morty? Do you like Marvel? You like Spider-Man? You like Miles Morales? Here you go. And it's like the excitement. Oh wow, this person really kind of is just showing me genuine kindness. And then you get into the community, you find out there's a lot more people like that, and overall it's just awesome. you know um it kind of almost takes you away from the daily grind where we're all competitive trying to kind of one up each other. And I like that with this digital space, that even though sometimes there might be very big disagreements on the Twitter space or elsewhere, but I think deep down inside we all just want to be accepted. We all want to kind of show our love and enthusiasm, and we just kind of want to kind of just grow the space together, and just and again show a good example to the newer people coming on and saying, hey, we were here early, and we want to kind of show you what this is all about.
Yeah, that's just, it's crazy to think that we're considered early, even though Quids has been around since what, to 2016, right? And
Yeah,
I feel like as the app has evolved, people have come and go, and eventually more people are going to show up, and then eventually people who were here for years are just going to be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna sell everything or give it away and stuff. And it's just that evolution of who's coming in, who's leaving, what this app is, what it becomes. And what makes me feel confident about Quid is the prices. People will say like, oh well, everything is cheap, you can't flip something real quick and make money. And I mean, to me that's fine, because it's a collecting app right now. It's literally,
yeah,
here's $20, you give it to your kid, go buy what you want on Quid. As if Quid, becomes a little bit more known and more people join in, where I feel like on Vivi, on Recur, on what's the other one I'm missing? The DC one.
yeah. The back
Things are
catalog and
pretty.
whatnot. Yeah.
People are. I feel like people treat them more as an investment, because they're putting more money in. They're putting more than like $100, $200 into these items,
Mhm.
because they're hoping, hey, it's gonna go up, and if I ever decide to get out, I can at least break even. But with Quid, I just feel it's a little different, because there's cards, there's posters, there's stickers, there's pops, and it's like, to me that's a better entry point than these other projects, because you're gonna want kids in here. You're gonna want to have younger people in this app, because they're the ones that are gonna, you know, take these items, play in the metaverse and stuff. Me personally, I feel like I might just collect. That's gonna be my thing. I'm just gonna collect. I'm not really gonna play with
Mhm.
the items that much. But other people who are gonna want to play with them and stuff, they're gonna want to come in and be like, with $20, can I buy something here? Yes, you get all these things for $20. All right, cool. They picked it up. Let me see what each item does. You know what I mean? It's more of
Exactly.
a collecting, you know, experience, as opposed to, I'm gonna buy this. I'm not gonna buy this item unless I know it's gonna flip for maybe double, triple the price after I buy it.
Yeah, and I think every platform will have its resellers, and I kind of did a video on YouTube talking about that, and I think that's a necessity because like those resellers will put a lot of time and effort, and they'll advertise because they want to kind of raise that floor a little bit. So like, and kind of going back a little bit, I think an entry point right now, with it being in winter, on a lot of platforms, I do see things now for 6, 12, $20. And I still think that's really good compared to what it was, in the beginning of the year and last year. So I still think that's really, like, we're in a spot where a lot more people can get into an entry point, almost into any platform, And then, even though some items now are out of reach, I think that doesn't take away from their value either. Where in the sense that, yeah, maybe you need to spend 200, 300, 500. If those people are comfortable with that and they want that and they feel that it's going to be good for them, that's cool. If they want to take it, if they want to flip it, that's cool. I think like me personally, I would never like knock anyone for kind of doing that. The only thing I ever worry about is the point where speculation happens. I've seen this in crypto, is that you'll get a lot of hype and stuff like that, and most people will kind of over leverage themselves and maybe put a mortgage on their house, or maybe take money that they really needed as a backup. And that's your choice. As adults, they can do anything they want with their money and stuff like that. But like, I think that especially on the Quid app, it's more of a collecting app than as of right now than as a reselling app. And I think that as a collector, it's good to start off at a lower price point than to kind of go, hey, I'm gonna take out a giant loan. I'm gonna buy all these things, and then in 6 months, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I think that's not a very wise thing to do, just from my viewpoint. And again, I respect anyone who wants to do that, go for it. But if it doesn't work out, just be okay with that too. Like some people say, hey, no risk, no reward. That's fine too. But I think like where I am in my life, like I'll put money into it. I'll work extra hours or I'll sell extra things just because I like a collection or I like a channel or something like that.
Yeah, that's true, and you're right. Yeah, and other platforms right now, the prices went down, so they are more accessible to people. I just sometimes I think like maybe eventually Quid you will have to KYC and prove your address and all this, but right now I think that I don't want to call it a barrier, but if I tell my cousins or my nephews, hey, have you heard of Vivi? Like, no, join it, and it's like, well, they can't because you need to KYC, or get on the DC marketplace and try to go for this $10 drop, and it's like it can't either because you have to. Well, at least I had to. Some people are saying they didn't have to KYC, but I KYC to go for the Superman drop, and I feel like until it's accessible to every single person, including
Mhm.
10-year-olds, because then eventually there's gonna be a time where the same way they go and be like, oh, I just want Robux or I just want V-Bucks, they're gonna be like, oh, I just want some, you know, whatever we call them at that time, digital collectibles,
Yeah,
because
I
that's what
think like
everyone's gonna have. They're gonna want to be like, hey, my friends have digital collectibles. His dad owns some. My cousins own some. My neighbors own some. Like, I want to own some too. What's the big deal about these collectibles?
exactly. It's like like well, going with KYC part. So like I know with Quay with cash out, you do need a KYC and kind of just show that you're kind of like a real person and everything,
Yeah.
and of course for tax purposes and bank account and all that kind of stuff. And they kind of just recently implemented the two verification process, two factor, just to kind of secure because like people like us, we've kind of invested a lot of time and effort into it, and we wanted to add the company want to add an extra layer of protection. And again, a lot of platforms have that too. They kind of done that for their community and everything like that. So, but I think as time goes on, they'll kind of maybe even have more entry points for like maybe a child to be attached to an adult account. So that way their kid can have a little bit more free reign and maybe the parents can see what they're collecting. So, I mean, that's all speculation right now, but I think maybe that's the direction we're going because, like, when I look at like Disney Plus or Netflix, and I know we're getting off the topic of digital collectibles, but maybe one day they'll be tied together. But I can set parameters, parental parameters for my kids because I got four boys,
Mhm.
and that for the older ones, I can put something for them, and for the younger ones, of course, I don't want them seeing like PG-13 or other things too. So with the Quid app, at least that way, like I have a 13-year-old that's gone on the app and collected stuff, and he really kind of liked it and stuff like that too. So that way, I can actually see and what he likes and kind of share my enthusiasm about that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's it all to me it comes down to brands. That's why I got into Quid and I seen all the brands they have. I'm like, well, I love these brands. Like, why wouldn't I collect them? I'm collecting on VV. I'm collecting on Tops. Now I'm collecting on the DC NFT marketplace. It's because I love those brands. You know, and Quid is very like people know about it, but they don't check it out, or they check it out and they're like, oh, well, compared to what I have on other platforms, it doesn't compare. So I do think they have a little bit of things they could work on. For example, if these comics had a comic reader, it would be perfect because then people could be like, oh, I can go in and read Captain America #1 because no other platform has that. You know, and Quid has it, so it could be a point of like, hey, come over here. By the way, we have these here. You know, and people are gonna be like, kind of how I was. I've heard of Quid, but I don't know what they have. Come and check us out. You know,
Yeah,
and Quid is very, you know, low key. It doesn't get attention. People like to bash on it a little bit because, you know, it's like, well, they have stickers. And it's like, well, only 10% of the items on the app are stickers, you know? And even with stickers, I mean, we don't know what utility these stickers are going to have. They just showed, like we've mentioned, that you're going to be able to take this card, put it in a wallet, and then in the metaverse, you know, use it as a character. So, you know, like, for example, I don't know if you've seen that one-on-one Disney sticker that sold a few months ago. I think it sold for $5,000.
cool.
I mean, Quiz saw that somebody wanted it so much they paid $5,000 for it.
Oh, the
That one-of-one
Maleficent one.
stickers,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it was a Maleficent one or something. I'm not 100%
yeah,
sure. What utility is that sticker gonna have? Is it just gonna be a sticker on an app and then that's it forever? Like, no, Quid's gonna be like, it sold once for 5,000 because it was one of the hardest items to get on the app. It's a one-of-one. It's Disney. With technology, with blockchain, with everything, we can add all of this utility to it. And why wouldn't they? They're gonna want it to sell for $10,000 because as long as it keeps selling, Disney's always gonna get a part of it. You know. So I think
hmm
that's where people kind of come in and see like, oh, they don't have nothing I like. It's the brand, you know. Try to collect the brand. It's more about collecting than am I gonna buy the sticker for 15 cents? How long is it gonna take for me to flip it for 30 cents? And it's not about flipping. It's not about I'm gonna go in there and make money. It's about, hey, let me go in there, see what they have, and then start, you know, collecting what I love.
yeah. And I think when you look at the big IPs, it's a good entry point to kind of say, "Oh, I know this. It has a story, has a history." And especially like we were talking about Marvel, Disney's got so much history. I mean, I remember growing up. I don't know how my parents afforded the Disney Channel, but we they had the Disney Channel, and I saw those characters and movies and stories growing up. So to me, like I have a soft spot for it. And I have a soft spot for getting my kids involved with it, and of course, not just Disney, like Cartoon Network, we have that too. We have anime, we have all this cool stuff, and I think that's kind of like as kind of like as a content creator, what I'm doing, what you're doing, and what other people are starting to do is we're kind of like exposing this more that there's so many cool things on this app, and it's not because it's better than other places. It's just that it's here,
Yeah,
and and it has a low entry point for those big names and everything like that. So, you know, it's just really really cool. But I think also too with the idea of utility, I talked with the guys on the Discord server, and with the interstellar reality, it's just kind of a concept right now, and we don't know when the game's going to come out or what's going to happen with it or how it's going to happen with it. But it's just like a potential. And like, because I asked about it, I said, man, this video came out. That is so exciting.
mhm.
And they kind of said, well, when they talk to the staff, it's they're working on it, but we just don't know when it's going to happen. And that goes back to the patience thing. So to
Yeah,
me, it's like, okay, I collected it. I didn't spend a fortune, but I collected it. I thought it was pretty cool. And if it does happen, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great. If Marvel does get a current kind of new additions onto the Quid app and it becomes sellable again, cool. If it doesn't, like you and me, we're collecting it still. We collect it because we love it. I was talking to another influencer just the other day, and he was surprised that we actually have mintables that are on the blockchain. Like we have, what was the big one? Atari. A lot
mhm.
of people don't know that Atari actually was came out and is actually on OpenSea and Rarible right now, and that they actually had a contest at video games. You play old Atari games and stuff like that. So like, even though it's been out for a little while now, it's still like so early where people on other platforms are like, oh, I didn't know that. And it's kind of like, I think as a community, us to kind of go out there and just like people like me, you just talk about it and bring people into the discussion and say, hey, this is pretty cool. What do you think about it? And maybe something might come out in the future. We don't know what, but at least spread the word so people can have the cheap entry point now because like you said, in the future, we don't know what's going to happen to the pricing. You know,
Oh
we've
yeah.
seen all-time highs, and in a big pump market, it really gets out of control. Like meaning, like the all-time highs are really big. So I would like to like at least help people become more aware of it, so they can get when it's a little bit more, some of these channels, where it's kind of a good entry point, and that way when it does go up, they can say, hey, you know what? I'm glad I got in earlier. I'm glad I can use this. This is fun. And if they have extras, then they can trade it. They can sell it for something else that might be out of reach at that time.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, the CEO, he's kind of mentioned it. I've seen other people kind of mention it. Like, there's a lot of grills on Quid right now. Like, there's not a lot of people buying them, so they're not considered grills now. But man, there's sometimes I see items and I'm just like, if this was on VV, how much would it go for? If this was available on OpenSea, how much would it go for? You know. So I think that's why when people are putting so much importance on platforms, it just kind of, I understand the blockchain and why it's important, and it has, digital ownership attached to it. And there's times where I just feel like a lot of those were like buzzwords, like, oh, it's the first on the blockchain and it's a NFT and you have ownership of it. And it's like, on Quid you can buy, you can sell stuff, you can cash out, and that has nothing to do with the blockchain. You know what I mean? So I just think like, man, people are missing out on all these grails because they don't give it a chance. And it's like, with like other platforms, you didn't give them a chance at first, but when did you join? You joined later on when it was like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna join. You could have got this item for $10. Now it's a grail and it's worth, $100. It's like, that's what like you say, we try to spread the word out, let people know, like, hey man, like, you kind of try to let them know, like, I'm seeing with Quid what I saw with Vivi, what I saw with Recur, what I saw with HRO, like,
Mhm.
there's it's important to be early because that gives you the best, you mentioned that, best value. And it's like, don't let loyalty get in the way of seeing that, hey, like, you have tunnel vision right now. And that's why I'm so happy what happened with the NFT, the DC NFT marketplace. It's letting people know, hey, there's more out there. All this is going to take is for a brand or something, a Quid announcement to be like, hey, by the way, because when people they joined the DC NFT marketplace, they started buying up
Mhm.
all the cows. I heard people on the Twitter space saying, hey, man, now the floors are going up. People
Yeah,
found out about it now, and now they want a cow too because we're getting airdropped all this like free cool stuff. So it's like, okay. So now when people come into Quid, they're gonna see like a warehouse, of items. Like, I'm gonna walk down this side. What do I find here? Okay, they have this. Let me walk over here. Let me walk over here. There's hundreds of brands, thousands of sets. We got, what VV's calling the MCP, the Master Collector Program. Like, Quid has that already. You could get ranked. Who's the best Marvel collector? Well, I am because I'm number 3. Who's the best Rick and Morty collector? I am because I'm number 1. Who's or who's in the top 5 or 10? Not. It's just gonna. Quid is built for a million people to come in, buy up everything, and get ranked, and it's fun already. And them keeping it on the down low just makes me think like they just want the app, the experience just to be, perfect. They want to fine tune it. So when people finally do come in, it's like it's ready to go. There's no, but when are we getting this? When are we getting that? Why doesn't this work? What's going on with this? It's like, no, we've been building this app for 7 years, and shout out to the OGs that have been here since the app launched, and they've been holding it down because without them, we wouldn't have a chance, to come in and
exactly.
invest. And now it's our opportunity to be like, let's come in, put money into the marketplace, collect, hold these items, create value like that. Because in another 5 years, when the next people come in and do the same thing as us, you're gonna want to be like, I'm glad I didn't let, you know, I just want to collect on this platform, stop me from collecting on other platforms.
Yeah, and I think what happens is that they just don't know,
Yeah.
and like that's why I always say we're all working this, this great space together because we're really on the same team, and they don't realize that every platform is going to have their own specialty, and that's cool, because nothing's the Walmart of a marketplace yet.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of going to go into our specialties, kind of carve out a niche, and then see where the customer base goes from it. Because these are all businesses, everything like that. And when I found out not that long ago that Quid was kind of put underneath the wing of Animoca Brands, $6 billion evaluated company. I said, okay, like it got me a little excited because I was like, here's a giant company. They have a whole bunch of gamification underneath them. They're big in the NFT space. Big in the crypto space. You have someone like Yatsu who really advertises digital ownership. So to me, I hear the words digital ownership. I hear gamification, or at least possible gamification, right, for Quid. And then I hear kind of like the idea of royalties and how artists can, get a kickback and brands can get a kickback, and how maybe even like community sponsorship or community leaders might get something just for helping out the community and just being there. Again, this is all speculation because it hasn't like really gone mainstream now. But I was showing a video by one of the OGs on Discord, and it was of Mr. Beast. And I didn't know Mr. Beast was really really big with Quid back in the day. I mean, you have the influencer stickers, and you have all the influencers on the Quid app, but like I didn't know that like say years ago that Quid had sponsored Mr. Beast, and he took like $10,000 he had gotten and went out there, went to a homeless man, did a whole video on this, and basically say, hey, here's $10,000. Don't use it for anything bad like drugs or alcohol like that. But like, it's gonna help you out, and not expecting anything in return. And that was awesome. And then there was another video where maybe a year or two later, he Quid sponsored Mr. Beast again, and it was $100,000, and he gave that to his mom, and that was like amazing. Like just seeing that in action, and not knowing about it was just really cool. Just seeing the positive influence, how a person who out there in the influencer community, and then kind of being sponsored by a digital collectible platform, and the positive impact that had on people that have no they're not even part of that platform. It was just really amazing. It just kind of really made me realize that what, if that can happen on this platform, then that can happen on any platform. Like what more can we be doing as collectors and enthusiasts for not only each other, because like we were talking before, like we see the kindness in our own community, but going into outside of that, what kind of kindness can we see and help people outside that aren't even part of the community, and just show them acts of kindness through our success. So it was just really cool, man. It was just overall really awesome experience to see that, and know that being a collector on Quid, that I'm connected to that somehow.
Yeah, it's that's crazy. When I found that out, I was just like, Quid really did that, and it's like, you know, what's stopping them from doing it again, or what's stopping Mr. Beast from partnering with Quid again, or what's stopping Quid from being like, hey, we're gonna. Well, they're doing it now with the VV influencers. Is like, hey, we know you guys work hard, you guys make content, and specifically VV content, but in reality, it's digital collectibles, NFT, content.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came out that they were sponsoring them, people were like, "Oh, whatever, we don't care. Quit is dumb or whatever." And it's like that was 95% of the story, but the 5% that I heard that was more important than the 95 was like, "Hey, man, they're helping them out. They're giving them income. They're giving them money. There's people here sponsoring. They're like, oh, they got paid off to do that, but it's like." They're coming to people who have been working hard for over a year and like, hey,
Or
give us your
longer,
honest
yeah.
opinion. Yeah, yeah, exactly, for longer. So here, give us your opinion on it. They came out and said like, oh, they didn't approach us and say, hey, say this and do that. They were like, hey, man, we're gonna sponsor you guys. Say what you think about Quid, and here's some money. And I mean, money's tight for everybody right now. So
Exactly.
I seen that and I was just like, people are just seeing it wrong. They're seeing, oh, they're paying them off. So that's the only reason they're giving them money. And it's like, Vivi could have done that. Vivi could have been like, hey guys, here's some Omi tokens, or hey man, thank you guys for helping us. Because in a sense, they did a lot of the, whether you want to call it promotion or, spreading, the word out. They did a lot for the Vivi community. I think the reason 95% of us are even in the community is because we would watch all these YouTube videos. We, get on Twitter, hear the spaces. We'd do, we wouldn't do what they told us to do, but they really influenced, what we were doing. So I think quit doing that is it's really cool, and people are just seeing it the wrong way. They're seeing it like,
Yeah,
oh, they're just paying people to, get attention to us. And I also see
and
it another way. It's like they're telling people about quit. Like you can't say, "Oh, I never heard of quit," or "What is quit?" They're not gonna surprise everybody when I think eventually people will come in and raise the floors, and everybody who's been here is the longest is gonna be like, okay, so this is what I've waited for. And a lot of people are gonna hold on to the collectibles and be like, nah, not okay. Now you're telling me they're worth this much. I still don't want to sell them. I'm gonna keep these. These are mine. Which is what I feel I'm gonna do. I might just hold on to these forever and not even think about selling them. But for the people who've been patient and waiting, it's gonna pay off.
yeah,
And it's just like you said, Animoca, man. People they see Animoca's partner. Well, they own Quid, right? I want to say they own them.
yeah, they definitely have like they had done like a partnership, and then they joined and
Yeah,
brought them in under like umbrella of brands that
yeah. I
they
mean, $1 billion company buying a marketplace company, and they're a Web3, centric company. It's like, what does that tell you, man? And I did my research, before I started like investing more and more into Quid. And the more I found out about their CEO, Michael Bramlage, I was like, man, this dude. I thought about it. If you were to open or start a Web3 digital collectibles marketplace app or company, whatever you want to call it, he's a perfect guy, man. He has all this experience working. I think it was with Nokia. He like managed their web marketplace for apps, and he was there like setting up marketplaces, what works, what didn't work. He worked with Top, so he knows a lot about collecting and stuff.
and we
And
see
then
Tops now. Yeah, we see Tops
yeah,
how it is now, and it's like he was there to kind of help and lay the foundation for that. So that's pretty wild.
yeah, and he worked with there's another company on this. He worked with Microsoft, so he knows this guy knows about tech, he knows about marketplaces, and he knows about collecting. So when I seen that, I'm just like, he's like the perfect CEO for a company like this. He knows it takes patience. He knows it's better to have a strong foundation. He could have rushed through it and been like, okay, we can sell millions of these if we do it this way and market it this way. But no, I think he said it himself. They're more of an engineering company than a marketplace, than a marketing company, because, like I said, when 1 million, 2 million people are on Quid and they're using the marketplace like they would eBay or Amazon, you don't want the app, you don't want the marketplace crashing, you don't want there to be bugs, you don't want there to be none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think honestly that's where like my conviction is, just with Bramlage as a CEO because of his experience and the fact that an Amoka brand partnered with them, that solves all the technological side of the Web3, and building all these pipelines. So it's like, here's a marketplace and these are all the connections to Web3, different metaverses. We know what people like because they have all this data and research that they do, because that's what they do. They buy out companies and they have a better vision of the future than we do. So it's important to be like, hey, look at this team, look who's backing up Quid, and look all the brands they have. It's like the perfect trio. You have brands, you have a good CEO, and then you have this big giant company behind them backing them up.
Exactly. And I know I don't want to take away from any other platforms because they're leaders, and I always give a lot of respect to any leadership in any kind of organization, just because the stuff they go through is astronomical. They've worked really hard to get to where they've gotten to. But with the sponsorship, kind of just going back a little bit with the sponsorship with the EBBB influencers, I think as influencers, like if you're in sports, for instance, if you're just trying to make a living and stuff like that, that takes time, that takes effort, and for whatever craft you have, and it takes, like we're saying, years. And I think that when people reach out to you, you can pick and choose who you want to work with and stuff like that. And I think it's not so much that the money was offered or the tokens or whatever payout was offered to the influencers, because I wasn't there and I was never offered anything, and I haven't been sponsored by anybody, so I kind of just do this because of love for it. But I think what happened was that, and this was before I came on board onto the platform as a collector, that there was maybe like I think Michael had mentioned that there was an employee, there was a big misunderstanding, there was kind of like a going back and forth. There was words that were said, and and that hurts. When people are kind of feel like they're kind of attacked or hurt. It kind of it lingers for a while. But when that whole Twitter thing was going on before, and some of the VB influencers started kind of talking about Quid. I think it was Chris Coffee ETH. I saw him really kind of get battered and attacked. And this guy was a cool guy, man. Like I've never seen him say anything negative before. So I kind of like wanted to reach out and just say we're all family. We're all building this amazing space, and we're all growing it. So like if we all kind of just work together and just respect each other's platforms, what we're doing, and the amount of effort and time it takes to do that, and that we're much better off. Like when I see Vivi and how they kind of make these awesome animations with their collectibles, that's cool as heck too. It inspired me to kind of want to take the collectibles I have on Quid and do that. And I think what happened was that there were so many VV people pushing VV. I was like, well, I'm gonna get lost in the mix. I'm gonna kind of like do stuff on Quid, and because I don't see as many people doing it, of course. So I want to kind of just be enthusiastic about what I'm collecting. Put myself out there, have fun, and if something more comes out of that, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. This is kind of like what we're doing right now. We've talked for a while, and we kind of worked on Twitter, we worked on Discord, and now we're having this Twitter space. And even though it's not like this is like baby steps, this is like the most baby steps there is, for people at our level. What's gonna happen is as time goes on, people can look back at this recording and say, man, those guys were, willing to go out there, put themselves out there, kind of talk, because the space of Twitter sometimes can be pretty brutal, and be okay with just talking about what they love, not for money, not for anything, but just because they're really enthusiastic about it. And maybe next week, as time goes on, we do this weekly. Maybe more people will come on board. But for me, like even if this was to stay empty, the kind of way it is right now, maybe we just have maybe one or two people popping in and out and stuff, or maybe everyone will listen afterwards. I have no idea. I'm okay with that because like my whole goal is just to be able to interact with people in all the communities and just show love and just show what we're passionate about. Because who knows who's going to be hearing this, a year, 5 years, 10 years from now. I don't know. I could be even long gone. Maybe my kids might come back and hear this and say, hey, dad was passionate about this. Let's go see what he was into. And I think, too, a lot of the influencers out there, they're going to have that legacy as well, that they're going to be talking about what they were passionate about. And even as that passion grows in other spaces and other projects, that their family and their kids, that's almost like a form of legacy, just like talking about what you're passionate about and what you were kind of willing to do to go out there in a brand new kind of pioneering space. Because this is the kind of like the Wild West right now, anything goes. And, and that's the thing too that got me into collecting was that I wanted something that, could be stored in one simple medium, all these different collectibles on these different platforms. And that way I said to my kids, hey guys, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to know I have this stuff on these different platforms and they're yours. And that you guys, I just want that if you have to sell some of them, that's cool, but just keep them so that way you can pass them on to the next generation. And I think that's pretty much what, the love of collectibles is all about. It's that, you go from sometimes people have 3 generations or more where they've had these collectibles, and that, when these values do shoot up, it's because that they do become scarcer. They do have more tied to them, more nostalgia. And it's gonna be cool, man. I mean, like we're super early. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And I just hope that as time goes on, more love is spread throughout all the platforms, and that as things kind of get smoothed over, they just see that hey, we're not trying to compete with you, even though I think competition's a little good, you know. but not where you're bashing being cruel to people. But like we're all on the same page. We're all growing this amazing space, so that way we all benefit from it. Because if these collectibles do move and they make money, and that brings bigger names, bigger cash, bigger infrastructure. Where you're going to have like Disney kind of just said, hey, they're getting to the NFT space, and then Meta, had Meta talk about that. But like, what's going to happen when, say, Amazon wants to do that, or what's going to happen when, like, big, billion-trillion-dollar companies are really all working together to push that. So it's going to be cool. I think we're going to see a level of possible utility, if not in the current platforms we have, but digital collectibles will evolve even more. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And I'm hoping that, in the years to come, that I'll be here to kind of see that and maybe even talk about, because like we were talking about OGs in Quid, and 5 years from now, we'll be OGs, and not just the platform, but our other respective platforms. So it'd be pretty cool, kind of bring in maybe the next generation of collectors and just kind of talk about where we're at and think about where we're going.
Yeah, man, the future it's exciting, you just you wanted to be here now to know like, well, what's gonna happen with all this. But man, before we know it, like you said, 10, 20 years down the line, we're gonna be like, you see, I knew it, or we're gonna be like, I'm glad I collected all this. And shout out to Nicholas. He collects caches too.
Oh,
We've
cool.
been in, without even knowing it, sometimes in little bidding wars, and he sees it too, man. He says like, hey man, these are Marvel comics. They were licensed by Marvel. They came out before VVs. You know what I mean? There's only a few of them out there. So if there's only, for example, he has 3 Incredible Hulk #1s in Gem Bank
Nice.
edition, and there's only 15 of them. You know, so he
Wow.
sees a vision too, man. So shout out to Nicholas and listening in, and yeah, man, it takes just a few people to come in and be like, what do they have? They have this. Okay, like me and him, we're cachet collectors. We try to get as many cachets as we can because we love them. We think
Mhm.
those are gonna be important. We know they're scarce. Other people are gonna come in and be like, where are the rare Funko Pops? Oh well, this Game of Thrones Jon Snow one, there's only 50 of them. I better get a few of them because there's not that many. They're scarce. They're gonna be important. They're important characters in the real world. One of those goes for this much, and people compare real world value to digital collectibles, which sometimes I kind of try not to see it that way, but I see why people do it because it's like, well, what is it worth in the real world? Okay, how many are there in the real world? Okay, well then this one is probably going to be worth somewhere, close to that, or whatever their thinking might be. But it's crazy to be like, we're early. We got some of the good items. There's still a bunch of grails that I see in the marketplace. So as much as we don't want to, tell people, hey, you're missing out, and what are you doing? Why are you buying collectibles over here instead of here? Like, this is where all the value's at. But there's times you kind of do want to tell people, like, you know, do you really want to spend, $5,000 on a statue that might, hey, it might go up to $100,000, again, or close to it. When I spend those $5,000 on all these other items that together, might go up to 200,000, 300,000. I mean, nobody knows. It's all speculation and stuff.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, the future, man, the future is just, we're waiting for it to happen. It's gonna happen. Everybody wants to be right in their, in a sense, but we just gotta wait it out and see what happens, man. But I'm excited, for Quid, for VV, Recur, HRO, the NFT marketplace, just everything digital collectibles, man.
Yeah,
It's
we were like,
it's exciting to be in it.
yeah, I mean, we were like, even like we kind of joined the Twitter space for the back howls, and I'm excited for those guys too, man. I mean, like any space I go into and I kind of just sit back there and listen, I'm always excited for them because it takes a lot of time and effort to coordinate and kind of push a brand, and a name. And anytime you see success, I'm willing to I want to clap for them because I want everyone to be successful. Especially because if they're successful, that's more exposure for everyone. A rising tide raises all ships.
I love that
So
saying. I hear it, and every time I hear it, I'm like, yes, that's we all want. We're all in our own little ship right now. You know, this is the Quid ship, the VV ship, but eventually there's gonna be this mega yacht. You know, where everybody's on it, and they're all gonna want to be, you know, a part of it because hey, man, like at first we were all in the little boats, and hey, VV's boat got bigger, and look at them, they have a slide on their yacht or whatever. But eventually, we're all gonna join this big giant boat, and we're all gonna be part of it. You know, we're gonna want it to get bigger for it not to sink. You know, so
yeah, and that's why I
it's
kind of say
exciting,
that.
man.
Yeah, that's why I say let's just like keep supporting each other. So like one thing I kind of did when I was talking about Chris Coffee ETH, and I know it's kind of going off the quid talk, but he kind of had a coffee being offered out to be kind of purchased, and it had the clones, and it had the parts of the meta on there. So those are his own NFTs. So like going back to like what Yetsu from Animal Brands was talking about ownership, digital ownership. To me, the utility that I could buy, like say coffee, and it has, even though it's like, kind of like a thing that's on there, that was added on after the fact, but the fact that he owns that, he can put that on there. A guy like me can buy it, and now I can display it. That's cool as hell, And I was able to support, kind of give my support towards him outside of the platforms that because I don't own those, but still I wanted to support them. And I think that's cool. Like we're talking about, hey, we're all gonna be one yacht, supporting each other. And I think it's like the more we work together, the better it's gonna be, and the faster I think the space will grow.
Yeah, man, it's happening right before our eyes. You know, a few years ago it was just this one company doing it. This year, it's two. Next year it'll be three, four, and however many more there's gonna be. And it's you gotta just know where this is heading, even though for a fact we don't know where it's going. But that's what's convincing us to invest money and be like, I see where this is going. You know, everybody loves brands. You know, these brands are not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be around for the next 100, 200 years. Our kids will know who Spider-Man is. They're going to know who, Mickey Mouse is. So it's just, I understand now why people say not financial advice, but it's like, if you have money to put into something, man, put it in this. It's brand new. You know, we've some people have been in it for a long time. Some people barely joined. You know, I've been collecting for over a year now, but I feel like I've been here for a while to understand it and be like, hey, man, this is going somewhere. You know, these are the first incarnations of them. There's pretty much like, like if I compare it to like a video game, we're playing, you know, a Nintendo game with 8-bit graphics, and we're
Yeah,
okay with that. You know, our NFTs are 8-bit right now. We're just, hey, it's a static image. I can put it in a showroom. I can, complete a set with it. But like video games, man, it's just gonna evolve. It's gonna get better. All this technology that's gonna be put into it is it's crazy to think that we're this early, but it's also crazy to think there's still so much more ahead.
yeah. One thing I kind of had been doing was I was taking the collectibles, especially since like awesome platform like Vivi already has a gallery and has the metaverse there. I call it the metaverse, but you have your personal gallery we can show and collect. But like with Quid, we had the creator board, but it wasn't like a gallery. So I was like, you know what? I own these digital collectibles, and where can I actually display them more so more people can go and see them in a kind of gallery form? And I came across Spatial, and I was able to put them in for now 2D and put them in frames and stuff. And I thought that was really cool. I can make videos, stuff like that. And if it's attached to a wallet, especially since Quid now, a lot of these can be minted on the Ethereum blockchain. And as time goes on, more chains will be brought on board, and more collectibles should be mintable on the Ethereum and Polygon, Wax, or whatever when they bring them on board. That metadata will be able to transfer, and I'll be able to show them in that gallery. But like, I know I want to find a way of like, kind of getting the information and displaying it like I see, like say CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yachts Clubs or Cool Cats, just kind of display them in my house and just have them kind of circling and showing different, like them kind of spinning in 3D or them kind of doing different things. And I don't know, man. It's just I'm almost like patiently impatient in kind of trying to put them more into my real world aspect where I can actually see them in my computer monitor and let them play as like a screensaver in the background or in a picture frame on my wall. So I know it's gonna get there, but it's like we were talking about before, just being patient and seeing how it goes from there.
Yeah, and there's things that Quid has where I'm just like, man, this is a big deal. Like the fact that you can connect your MetaMask wallet, you can mint a digital collectible into your wallet and then post it on OpenSea. You know, I think that's crazy. And I want to say it's been mentioned before where like, hey, you might have some NFTs on that MetaMask wallet that then you can sell on Quid. You know, so they're kind of just they're plan. You can tell they're planning for their future. They know where things are going. They want people to come into Quid and be like, well, what can I do with my MetaMask wallet here? Oh, you can put all your collectibles here on this marketplace, open your own little digital hobby shop, and have people come in and be like, oh, well, what is this person selling? You want a Bored Ape? Yeah, this person has one in their market. You know, well, how much do they want for it? And they've talked about how they're gonna have crypto pay in and pay out. So it's slowly, you know, becoming a Web 2 digital collectibles app, and slowly becoming a Web 3, you know, OpenSea type of marketplace where, hey, you want to buy something that's an NFT, come to Quid. You can find any NFT you want here, you know, because their items, I see it, even though they are licensed, I kind of see them as Quid branded, if that makes sense. Even though I
Yeah.
know they're licensed from Marvel, if you get people to come in because, hey, I want to buy a Bored Ape, well, where do you buy? Oh, you have to buy it on OpenSea. Like, okay, well, let me set up a wallet, do all this crazy stuff. If Quid can just make that a little bit more accessible, where like you want to buy NFT with cash and actual NFT, and they slowly show you how to, you know, put it into your wallet and all this stuff. I feel like that's just going to be even more reason for people to come into Quid and be like, hey, I want to join this marketplace because I have more freedom with my items, I have more ownership with my items, and I can do a lot more things with them. And the sandbox integration in the future, I see two big metaverses. As of now, it's going to be the sandbox and the Viviverse, right?
Yeah.
You know, people, if the Viviverse is going to be kind of like walled off and only VV collectibles can be used there, then hey man, that's cool because VV has a bunch of cool, crazy collectibles that people love, you know.
Mhm.
But if the sandbox and you know, I kind of see VV as Apple, if that makes sense, and the sandbox like Android, where you can do more stuff with your phone, you can customize a little bit more, you know. There's people like different things, you know what I mean? So the experiences that people are gonna want to play or, you know, be a part of, that's gonna matter a lot because if it's all about just, oh, I'm gonna put a collectible here and it became an avatar, but if the game isn't fun, then nobody's gonna want to play it at first. You know what I mean? You mentioned how the sandbox kind of looks like Minecraft-ish and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Kids, is, kids right now, those are the type of games they play. You know, they're little platformers or a bunch of mini games put together in one game. So I feel like that's catering to them, whereas we see it. And honestly, I've talked to people and I'm like, well, what metaverse do you guys play? None. Do you play in the metaverse? Nah. Do you play sandbox? No, I don't play sandbox. Like no one's really playing them. You know what I mean? But as soon as, hey, we have a Dragon Ball Z game. Hey, there's a Pokemon game here. Hey, you want to play Call of Duty? Come here, and the new God of War, you can play there. Like I don't know if it ever gets to that point, but if it does, and we have these collectibles that are the same brand, like what's stopping them from being like, oh, here you're playing this fighting game? Well, guess what? These collectibles that you own are yours. You can put them up as, you know, almost like as a bet, right? Because I don't know, you remember the set they released where it's like buy the card you think is gonna win in this tournament, and if you have the winning card at the end, you get paid out whatever amount it has in the back.
Yeah, they had that Battle of the Clans and everything
Hey,
like that.
I saw that I'm just like, oh, okay, this is what they're planning on doing. Like, hey, you know these collectibles that you own, you know, from like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there's actually a value attached to it. If you want to, you can put them up, you know, as a bid or a bet. And I've seen where like legalized gambling is just it's normal now. It's not like a big deal. A lot of states already approved that you could bet on games, you could bet on, you know, boxing, you could bet on a bunch of stuff. So I'm just thinking like this thing is gonna have so many layers to it. You're gonna be like, I have this collectible, I can sell it, I can put it up for a bet, I can use it as a skin, I can give it to somebody. You know what I mean? If I want to buy something in the real world, you might be able to pay with these NFTs because there's, almost an attached value to them. It's
Hmm.
kind of it's it's like saying I own this AF-15, 5.0. I'm gonna go to a car dealership, and because the owner of the car dealership values the comic at $50,000, he then sells me his car for $50,000. And I know that's a little like maybe I don't see that happening, but I feel like why not? You know what I mean? If it's seen as a form of currency and crypto is gonna be a thing in the future, then I don't see why NFTs can't also be a form of currency.
Yeah, I mean, value really kind of just is dictated on what people are willing to place on it and what they're willing to pay for it. So, like, I mean, it's a story as old as time. I mean, there was times when people used sticks as a form of currency. These things called tally sticks. They were like a real thing, because when you split the branch in half, it would have a certain pattern, and that way you know it couldn't be duplicated. With like say crypto, the same thing. It's got a certain history. It's on a blockchain, has a certain amount of value and a certain scarcity. NFTs and digital collectibles, the same thing. It's going to have a certain amount, certain scarcity, and especially now that platforms have implemented like the idea of burning. Quid had come out with the burn, be able to burn your collectibles for like like maybe like 2 cents for a first edition, 1 cent for a second edition and up. And of course, they wanted to kind of just make it so you couldn't make an infinite money machine. And they kind of fine tuned it because in the beginning there was like a little tiny loophole, but and it was very short lived. But that will create even more scarcity. So that way, like as time goes on, and I think Michael said with the CEO Quid said that just like you can have a baseball card and put it on the spokes of your bike, and then that one baseball card's kind of like just torn up. It'll be kind of cool where seeing how these digital collectibles become even more scarcer. And I know other platforms have kind of talked about that too, and how they can implement it. And it's just cool, just kind of seeing that how that kind of macro and micro um, economics really happens in this digital space.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I feel like if people just found out about Quid, see the brands they had, gave it a chance, they'd be like, okay, I could put $10, $20, get a few collectibles. But if it takes, utility and it being interoperable and then seeing, hey, you know what, you could do this with your collectibles and you can't do that nowhere else, then, that too, it's something's going to happen where the people finally be like, I got to give them a chance, because people heard about bat cows and they're like, oh, well, all you can do is just take a picture of it and it'll be on your face. But now that they're airdropping things and that marketplace getting comic books and stuff like that, now people are gonna go like, well, I'm going over there to see what they have, and I'll stick around here too, or I'll keep an eye on it at least to be like, well, what if they drop Action Comics? What if they drop? I want to say it's Detective Comics 27.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna want it. The same thing with Superman. If they didn't drop Superman, people wouldn't have gone there. They would have been like, "Oh, we're gonna drop another Batcow collection or the Batmobile 3D figure." People would have been like, "Oh, nah." But as soon as Quid drops something, like that, that's when people are gonna be like, "Oh, okay." Or when you can do something that you can't do in other places, they're gonna be like, "Okay, I gotta give them a chance." And their token is, I think, their token. They said they're gonna start like talking about it, introducing it later on this year.
That's
I
cool.
think if that token really has utility and they can do a lot with that token, and hey, stake this token with us, and if you stake a certain amount, here are all these rewards or benefits that come with it. That's cool, man. Because I know they started the ACES program. I'm not part of it. I just kind of like heard about it, but I've heard that's a pretty cool program.
Yeah, it's pretty neat because like if you spend a certain amount, I think the entry point is like $100 a month. Now, some people were invited and they just kind of didn't see their email to be part of it, which is cool too. Maybe they just don't want to be part of a different club or something like that for whatever reason. But like you get like a certain amount of credit, like maybe like $50 a month if you
Oh,
spend
okay.
over a certain amount, and then like it's like a VIP program pretty much. You'll get access, maybe access to certain drops before they become mainstream.
Yeah, I've
And
seen that you have early access to a lot of drops, huh?
yeah, which is pretty cool because, like, I'm not gonna go for all drops because, again, I don't have a fortune to spend. But it's cool because at least that way you get kind of first dibs in it, and especially in the future when you'll have like a lot more people coming in, maybe into the platform, and then you'll have a big sellout. I think it's cool rewarding those people who kind of are like the big collectors and allowing them to at least get first dibs in it, and they might limit that too. I mean, it could always change. It could always
Yeah.
change depending on what the market conditions and need are. But I think it's pretty cool forward thinking that they're at least trying that out to see what kind of works, what doesn't work, and we're willing to adapt that. And they have other things too, like they have like the Collectors Council for OGs that have been in there for a long time, and they kind of like have a closer ear to the staff in the company, which is pretty cool because hey, they're OGs, they've earned that. I think they deserve that. That's just my personal opinion. And then you'll have like the Mars Council, which is part of the Interstellar Reality, and that's a group right there. And I think it's pretty cool because you'll have these microcultures that are part of these different channels that kind of, even though they're part of their own like island, but they're still part of the big nation of
Yeah.
Quid, and that will kind of expand as time goes on too. And honestly, I think that as time goes on, even more that those other platforms, because we're talking about companies buying other companies, or maybe integrating or making partnerships, will just become one planet, which is going to be the metaverse, maybe like a Ready Player One kind of thing. So I think ultimately, in the back of our minds, I think we're all thinking that,
Yeah.
because I love that movie, man. I got 3 sealed copies at home. I'm crazy
Oh,
like that.
okay.
But um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I think. Like we would all like to have like an amazing utility where we can kind of have like special abilities and special avatars, and just be able to show our collectibles and just take it to the next game. But you know, again, baby steps where we're at, and we'll do this every week
Mm.
and see who comes on, who we can bring on, and whatnot, and just talk about our love for digital collectibles and go from there.
Yeah, man. It's just getting people who are passionate about it, talking about it. What do they love about Quid? What don't they like about Quid? Because Quid is, I know people have their opinions on it, but since I've joined, I've been here since partly, it was my join date is January 25 or 26. They've gotten, because the marketplace used to transact in coins, like a
Yeah,
virtual currency. They got rid of that and said, nope, we're just doing cash. They've introduced burning. They've introduced minting. They've introduced I'm missing one. They also did
cash out. Yeah,
they have cash out. So it's like I've been here, a little less than a year, and the app has changed. It's slowly just getting a little different, and they've just recently also introduced 2FA because they want to lock our accounts, make them secure, so people feel safe. Like, hey, well, I see you have a collectible that I want to buy. It's $5,000, but you guys don't even have 2FA. Like, why? You know what I mean?
mm.
So there's it's still a long way to go. The app is gonna just keep evolving. I've heard they're gonna, not a complete overhaul, but they're gonna change it a little bit. So
Yeah, with
that's
the
gonna
messaging system and everything like that, so that
yeah,
way people can talk more. And they even talk about having like storefronts, like again,
yeah,
coming from eBay and stuff like that, and selling physical digital collectibles, not physical collectibles. Sorry, I always say digital physical collectibles.
sure.
I can totally see the value in that, especially
Yeah,
like if you want to do maybe like I think a lot of people have suggested lots. So instead of just selling one at a time, maybe you'll sell one collection or pieces of different collections and then putting that out the market. And again, it's all could be maybe right now, but it's cool that they're listening to that, and at least as a company thinking about that and seeing how they can if they can or will implement that.
yeah. I mean, it's just I just get excited just seeing everything you collect, the way the app is set up. You have your sets. Your sets are ranked. You're ranked by the brands. There's all this like gamification already implemented, and you know, I just I just can't wait to see where it is in a year or in 2 years and 5 years. I remember the CEO saying like it's not gonna be so much about having Quid on your phone. It's gonna be about having Quid as an account. So you go
Mhm.
to all these places and maybe it's a QR code on your phone where you scan it and that proves you're the owner of the account or something, or whatever they decide to do, or you
Yeah,
log in somewhere else with your account and here you go, you have all these benefits on that whatever it's going to be, metaverse or a different website. But yeah, man, Quid is just, I feel like if people just come in, check it out, give it a chance, they'll be like, hey man, this is what collecting's all about, and it's in a digital format. They were the first ones to come out and be like, hey, digital collecting is going to be a big thing, and they've been right so far. So to them saying like, oh, we have all this other stuff coming, and you know we're gonna open the floodgates, whatever that means, whether it's marketing or dropping big brands. It's just they've been here so long. Like I feel like that's enough for people to be like, this app knows what they're doing. Now, am I gonna go in and make money right away? No, you're not. It's a collecting app right now. If you want to invest in it, then it's a little, 1 year, 2, 3 year hold. But before you know it, all these platforms are going to integrate within each other, and it's not going to be about I collect on Quid or VV or HRO or Recur or OpenSea. It's like it's going to be, let me see your collection. Let me see everything you own. I don't care where you bought it from or what store you got it from. I just want to see what you have.
exactly. Like just like being big kids, I think we grow up, but we don't. And looking back at that, when we had our like, He-Mans and GI Joes or Barbies or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It didn't matter where you bought it from. It was the fact that you had that, and then you made a game out of it. You used your imagination to make more things out of it. And I think that's kind of like where we're gonna go with this. Like you're saying that it's not gonna matter which platform it came from, but like, hey, show me your collection, show me the cool. Oh, that's awesome, man, and that's cool. Oh man, you got that from here. Cool. Let me show you this, and I think it's gonna be a lot more kind of like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but just more unified. It's gonna be
Oh
kind of
yeah,
a unified digital collecting experience, and that's something I'm really looking forward to because like um it'll be just really cool just showing all the stuff I have and just kind of swapping stories. Hey, when did you get this? And how did you get this? How did you get involved? Kind of like what we're doing right now. We've had a lot of fun doing that. I
yeah.
think we were like talking for hours last night, and it's like, we could probably go on forever. But
Exactly.
um I know we're gonna cut this kind of right here. And it's exciting, man. I'm very enthusiastic about it. I love it. I'm excited about the passion that anyone has from any platform, and like you said, just kind of gives check out quits. Take the best and leave the rest, and then
Exactly.
we'll do this if we can next week,
Hmm.
and just see how this grows, man. It was a pleasure to kind of have you on. It was awesome to have everyone else who come in and listen to this, and thank you again for anyone that listens to this afterwards. Lots of love, man. Like peace, love, and jelly beans. And then till next time.
All right, man. Yeah, thank you for hosting me, and just check Quit out. I mean, they're gonna have stuff that you want. They're gonna have stuff that you like and fall in love with. And yeah, man, I can't wait to do this again.
Definitely, man. This is an awesome experience, and look forward to next time.
All right, man. Take care.
Peace, guys.